Hello, Q Brothers here today. I'm TQ.
I'm JQ.
And we are here to talk today about a very, very common problem, the very, very common problem of acid reflux. Also known as, a lot of people, GERD, for gastroesophageal reflux disease. The reason we're going to talk about it is that it is one of the most common things that people come into our stores asking about and write in on email to us. And I feel like there's there are some myths out there that need to be cleared up, not because for the sake of clearing them up, but because people are getting wrong advice and bad treatments often due to these myths. And
so can I explain maybe something you can join in and
go ahead.
Okay, so from what I understand it, about they say roughly 9 out of 10 people who suffers from acid reflux actually has too little acid in the stomach as opposed to too much. Now there's no problem with an acidic stomach. You want an acidic stomach.
Yeah.
In fact, you want it to be super acidic because it helps you break down food and use it.
Yeah.
Now,
but if you think about the TV commercials that you watch about acid, it's always that, oh, I'm so acidic. I need an antacid that works 24 hours a day. I need to not get acid reflux. So, which, yes, you don't want to get the burn, because what happens is, and the burn is not a sign of an acidic stomach, it's a sign that acid is leaking out at the esophagus, which is the opening of the stomach.
This is where I was going to go. So when you eat food and it goes into your stomach and you have too little acid there, what happens is, because that initial stage of digestion where you need that acid is not going properly, you're going to get some gas. Mm-hmm. And so inside the stomach there's gas. Then your brain says, your stomach says, the little guys in the stomachs tell the little guy in the brain, as Dad would say, I don't have enough acid down here. So the little guy in the brain sends the acid signal, and they send the acid out. Now, you have gas in there though. Mm-hmm. So at the top of the stomach is this little valve that goes that covers the esophagus, right? Mm-hmm. And when the gas is there, it starts flapping open. Mm-hmm. Now you get this sudden onset of acid because your body goes, I need to break down this food somehow, and it's shot right up into the esophagus. You get the burn or you get heartburn, right? Yep. So that's how I understand it happening.
I was a frequent sufferer for many, many years, and that is exactly how it happens. And the problem for those of you who, like me, who used to have it or still do, the problem is, as that happens, if you have it once or twice a year, no big deal. I would say then take a Tums if you want. It's such an occasional thing, sodium bicarbonate, something like that, and just minimize the acid because it's so infrequent for you that it's no big deal. So what?
But more and more that's not the case.
But that's not the case for most people. They're having it on an everyday or every couple days or consistent basis, whether that's once a week, whatever. It might be the night that they go out and have a few beers. It might be pizza night or whatever. Now, I think there's some good questions to ask yourself about what you're eating and what it's doing to your body, which certainly we could do a whole separate topic on that. But let's talk about assuming, assuming you are eating
fairly healthy.
Yeah, decent diet, or something that is at least not
pretty well rounded.
Yeah, pretty well rounded. So what? You're going to have pizza every now and then, or a burger every once in a while, but you're eating something. Now the question is, how do you address the fact that you have acid? And we're going to address a few things to try and some things that can be done immediately to help relieve it, and some things that can be done both immediately but have long-term benefits as well.
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say.
Let's start with the immediate stuff. So as opposed to just popping a Tums, some people want an alternative to that, right? Mm-hmm. Because that's just calcium carbonate. You know what I mean? They want something that they can feel good about doing. So the one thing that I think is probably the closest item to that is this DGL. And this is deglycerinated licorice. It's a hard word to say.
Yeah.
But DGL is what they call it.
Yeah.
So DGL is chewable. It's licorice that they've taken out the part that raises your blood pressure.
Yeah, that's what the deglycerinated is.
They make a regular, they make a sugarless, they make a German chocolate flavor, which is delicious.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It is. And it works well. And the other
but what does it do? The thing is, it's not the DGL, we're going to go towards improving, when we say immediate relief relief, what we're talking about is not necessarily cutting down on acid. That's what an antacid does. We should address the problems with that first. The problems with taking antacids long term.
Well, here the thing is, they work. That's the reason that they've been prescribed so often, is that they work quickly.
Yeah,
and so what happens though is after a while of using it, you develop not only a tolerance but a dependency.
And on top of that, you are actively creating constantly a less acidic environment in the stomach, which means even though you're not
breaking down food.
Exactly. So you have long-term, for those of you on these prescription or OTC antacids, you have to ask yourself, if I'm using this every day and I'm making my stomach not as acidic, I may feel better there, but that means my stomach isn't able to break down food, isn't able to extract nutrients, and so you are getting a nutrient deficient diet as you eat. Now, if that, like again,
and
if
poor
that's
digestion,
and poor digestion, so you're leading the possibility of leading to something in the bowels, whether it's IBS or something like that, is worse because you're having not fully digested food entering your bowels, which is how you get things like Crohn's disease and the I'm forgetting the name of the other one, but anyway, the common digestive complaints of the gut. You don't want to do that. And on top of that, do you really want... No, not celiac. There's another... Diverticulitis. On top of that, the question is, do you want to be getting less nutrients from your food in this today, especially in a world that we live in today where we're bombarded with all these things? You want more nutrients. And so the question is, how do you move toward no acidic burn, no heartburn, no acid reflux, but have proper digestion so you're not using these antacids every day? And that's what we're talking about. So when we say immediate relief, we're talking about how do we coat the... Well, but this is more than symptomatic.
Yeah,
so the DGL, what it's doing is, it might provide some immediate symptomatic relief, but the reason it does so is that it coats the affected areas and it actually helps regenerate the mucous membrane lining, which is what has been burned away, right? A little acid every now and then isn't going to affect you and you probably wouldn't feel it.
Because you have that lining. As soon as you go through it.
If you're getting repeated acid exposure on an area where you're not expecting acid exposure, that's when it burns away that mucus lining and you start to get irritation. A spot eventually could be worse, something like an esophageal ulcer or some kind of sore there. So imagine you're burning a sore. Like, if every day I went and rubbed my arm against something, eventually you're going to have a mark there and then get a cut or whatever. It's the same kind of thing, an abrasion, and this is what's happening. So DGL is what you're taking. It has some immediate relief in that it coats, but what it really does is help rebuild the mucosal lining. So there is some long-term benefit here, and something that you can carry it around. It tastes good, it's chewable, just do it, but start doing it on a regular basis. Don't wait. It's not a wait till I feel it.
It's also cheap.
It's not expensive.
Yeah, exactly.
And it will help rebuild it, so that's a great thing. Another cheap way to rebuild mucosal lining and help with that irritation is slippery elm bark powder.
I'm going to bust one of these.
Yeah. So
give me the other one.
Yeah.
And then we'll pour this water in.
So what we've got here is slippery elm bark powder is a powder made from the bark of the bark from a slippery elm tree. And we're spilling all over, but we're gonna dump this in this glass. You can see, and pour a bunch of water in there.
Just a little bit. Just put some.
And now we're gonna mix it up. And it forms, let me hold it up a little bit. It forms sort of as soon as the powder mixes, it kind of makes a soupy, gel-like mixture. Yeah. And this is another thing, slippery elm helps coat the areas that are irritated and actually will help rebuild the mucosal lining as well. So these are great ways to help address acid reflux and the irritation that comes along with it.
What you end up getting here is almost like a
pull a spoon of it out.
Like a jelly.
Jello. It's like a pudding or it's like a pudding like.
Yeah, it's like a pudding.
So Jay, will you taste some and then I'm going to taste some as well.
The thing is, it looks gross. It actually doesn't taste very good at all. It tastes
It looks crazy.
It tastes a little bit like oatmeal. It has almost a Swedish little mapley flavor. Mm-hmm. But
it tastes great.
It does.
It's not like, I'm not going to eat it.
I should just mention as a very small side note that this is also great because it's rebuilding that lining in the esophagus. It also does that in the stomach and on the vocal cords. So this is great for singers. This is great for sore throats. This is also good for people with ulcers in the stomach.
Correct.
So,
next thing we have is Iberogast. And we've done a whole review of this product and we'll probably link it below, but this is this is sort of an herbal way to address poor digestion immediately if you're having gas or
Immediate soothing.
immediate soothing. It's got chamomile and mustard, angelica,
And it also has herbs in there that
lemon balm.
stimulate the liver. So you're getting liver cleansing,
Yep.
you're getting gallbladder stimulation for better digestion, and
peppermint
you're getting,
for calming the
Peppermint for calming
gas and
and-
digestive system.
and you're getting everything for soothing, basically.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. It's a
Yeah.
concentrated 15 drops in a little bit of water. You shoot it right down. I mean, it works so well. It works so well that this is a product we used to import from Germany, and now has a North American distributor.
Yeah.
Because it's done so well.
Yeah.
in studies.
We love this product. By taking more HCl when you first eat your food, you have enough acid present at the time of the beginning
That
digestion
initial stage.
that you don't get the gas buildup and you don't get the release of acid that
Into
causes
the
the burning.
esophagus, right.
And so the idea is you have proper digestion from the beginning, and that helps it. And now the amount of people that I've recommended this to in the store
And has worked is
has
out
worked.
of control.
I've had people coming back saying, I can't believe it. It's been years. See, I'm on antacids and everything. It's been years since I've eaten a meal and not had burning. And like one guy I recommended to, I said, bear with me. I know it's kind of a strange concept. And he came back the next day and bought 9 bottles of it and was like, I just want to have it on hand for the next year. I don't want to run out. This is the best stuff ever.
It's awesome.
It's
And
incredible.
imagine how much he spent before this just trying to control it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just feel decent.
Yeah.
And so the way we have a couple ways to take it.
You can find HCl and pepsin by itself.
together. It's like pepsin is the first enzyme that you find in gastric juices, and so it's with that and the HCl.
HCl is hydrochloric acid.
The way you would take this is you actually take a number of them and you'd build up until you start to get the symptom again, and then you back off by 1 capsule.
Yeah.
And that's how
this
many
is
you
during
would
the meal.
need.
During the
Yeah.
meal.
And that's how many you would need.
Yeah.
So for some people that's a bunch, and some people that's just a couple. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It ends up being 1 or 2, but who knows?
It could be 1 to 3 usually.
Yeah, yeah.
But 3 would be very high for most people.
Yeah, but that is often,
Yeah.
at least in the beginning, before it's under control, is pretty.
Yeah, yeah.
Before you balance it back out, you know what
Correct. And the other way
I mean? The nice thing about this other product,
this is one of the ones we recommend most, called Parazyme, and this has hydrochloric acid, but it also has a whole host
It's
of
glutamine.
of digestive enzymes. So amylase, protease, lipase, lactase, cellulase, and it's a whole list. A probiotic blend, quercetin and bromelain, which are good anti-inflammatories, bioflavonoids. And it has L-glutamine in there, which is something that helps regenerate the mucosal lining also when you have damage. This is the one that I've recommended the most.
Yeah.
This is the one that I took myself.
Well, it's such a complete formula.
It's a complete formula, and you're taking 1 capsule with each 1 to 2 capsules with each meal. For me, 1 was plenty. And whenever, in the few times in the past few years that I've had little recurring bouts, I just take this for like a day, and it's gone again. And it just kind of seems to like kickstart my digestion into proper digestion.
Okay.
So one thing to say though is if you're going to do this and you're already on
I think we have to really say this, because if you're
taking an antacid,
on an antacid, if you're on a proton pump inhibitor right now, but you can't. If your goal is to get off of it,
which is a good goal probably. Unless you are one of the rare 1 in 10 people who actually has too little.
Which I've run into.
Yeah.
I have in the store. I've met
too much acid.
Who has too much acid. It's very rare though.
It's very rare. I would.
The idea is never cut cold turkey. What's going to happen if you do that is you'll get rebound effects that are even stronger than the initial effects. The initial
that you
problem
took it for.
were. Yeah. So what you want to do, if you're going to do that, the way that people suggest you do that is by weaning down and then weaning onto an over-the-counter version and then weaning down on that. And meanwhile, changing a bit of your diet to try and support that, and taking
HCl, probiotics. But even taking this with a meal wouldn't be a problem as you're cutting down.
But you're going to be combating the HCl and then an antacid together. It's kind of like wait till you're off of it. In the meantime, probiotics.
True.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. However, as you start to cut back, you want to make sure you have enough acid to properly digest. So even if some of it is being neutralized by the antacid, you're at least getting a helpful boost to digestion.
And
so
what
there's
you're
no
getting
harm
in there is also the probiotics.
Yeah. And probiotics is the last thing we want to address, which is Once you do this, if you get the acid in your diet, the thing you need to do something to bring back your total digestive system into balance.
And what's also happened with a lot of these people that have gone through this is that there's also, you'll see a lot of H. pylori kind of people involved in that too, which is a bacteria that happens after you've taken too many antibiotics. And so what you need to do is build your immune system and build the good flora back up in the system.
In the gut.
Yeah, back in the gut. And what you need a probiotic. People say, well, I eat yogurt. You'd have to eat gallons of yogurt a day to get what you're going to get out of it.
Plus yogurt, most yogurt, unless you're buying raw live yogurt, even when they say live cultures are in there, in this country, they're heating it, pasteurizing it, everything dies in there. Then they add small amounts of this back in. So the idea with a good probiotic, and we offer a lot of them, this happens to be one of our favorites from New Chapter.
Because it's a whole food.
It's a whole food probiotic. It's really great. Is that you're taking a therapeutic amount of probiotics, which you can't get from yogurt no matter what they say. Not that it wouldn't be helpful. You like to eat yogurt and dairy doesn't bother you, you have probiotics, great. But just know, if you're trying to rebuild your gut flora, you probably need to take a therapeutic dose,
yeah.
And then I believe you should take a maintenance dose anyway. That's what I take.
Yeah.
My whole family, we all take probiotics. I think it's a necessity of daily part of our diet, especially if you're like me, where you perhaps eat a good diet, but as well intentioned as I am, I eat out sometimes. I'm eating some foods
once a week.
Yeah, probably once a week. I have pizza with the kids or with the softball team, whatever. It's just like I'm not eating things which are naturally supporting a very good gut flora at least some of the week. And so I feel like that's something you just do as a matter of course.
Yeah, and not to mention just as a good immune booster anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But basically, I think if you're one of those people, and we know there are tons of you out there, they say 1 in 2 people suffers from at some point from acid reflux.
That's a staggering statistic.
That's outrageous. There are a lot of dietary things should be done as well, but I think if you're already on the right track and you're having problems, start looking at maybe addressing it from the non-antacid point of view. Is our recommendation.
2 other things I have to mention. One is exercise. Always helps every problem you have. It does.
Pretty much. It does. It will. Except maybe an injury sometimes.
No, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It will help any problem like that. And the other thing is, do not use table salt. You have to use a Himalayan or some sort of
sea salt,
and
not a processed salt.
What that's going to do is give you chloride, which will help your body produce its own HCl. And that's a real simple, the cheapest way possible is stop using table salt.
If you're using white processed table salt
Stop.
from that company that's in Chicago, you got to look at why you're doing that, or the grocery store brand. Start using some salt that has some life, some minerals to it.
Yeah,
I think
because
that's a
not
good
only
idea.
you'll get the chloride, but you'll get about 80 other.
And we should have had it. We sell the pink Himalayan salt.
It's alright.
Go on
We'll
the
link
site,
it
look at
below.
it. Yeah.
But yeah, switch to a good salt.
Yeah. Cheers. Cheers. Hopefully you can say that and without being in pain next time. Take care.